Hi everyone, Jason from Makera here with another project tutorial video. And in this one, we're learning how I created this carbonite inspired 3D relief of myself using Makerables AI craft features and Makera Studio Beta and my Makera Z1 Desktop CNC. We're also going to look at how we can take that project after we've completed it and share it with the Makera community on Makerables Beta. So let's get started. After taking my selfie in the famous Han Solo pose, or at least my best representation of that pose, I dropped the photo into Adobe Photoshop just to fine-tune it a little bit in order to make a more successful relief generation. This might not be required depending on the quality of your photo and everything like that, but I do find that reliefs are generated more effectively when you have a high level of exposure and a high level of shadows and highlights, so that way you can see more depth and wrinkles and contrast across your photo as shown here. You also don't need to convert it to a grayscale photo, but sometimes that gives you a better representation of what the relief may actually come out looking like. With my modified photo prepared, I headed over to Makerables so that I could use the AI craft features to turn this photo into a 3D relief. So under AI craft, I selected 3D relief, and then I was able to select the image that I created in Adobe Photoshop. You can then crop the image as necessary, so that way you fit around the subject area that you would actually like to make into a relief, or even turn this into a round relief depending on what type of project you're creating, and then generate your relief accordingly. This can take up to a few minutes to actually generate, but once completed, you will be able to see your relief with all of your other asset projects. After selecting your relief, you do have some controls to actually edit it within Makerables. Now, you could always make these changes later using scaling features in your CAD or CAM programs, but I do find that using these powerful scaling features to get your relief into approximately the right size and depth is really handy before exporting. Based on my project and my stock, I scaled my relief to have a height of 100 millimeters, a width of 40 millimeters, and a depth of about 3 millimeters. Once you're happy with your settings, you can press the download button to export this as an STL file to then drop into your CAM. With my file prepared, I've launched Makera Studio, and we're greeted by a couple different ways to design something. We have these guided modes, which will walk you through creating your toolpaths, as well as these custom modes if you want to create an entirely custom project. I'm going to select the guided 3D model mode, as that's really well suited for the type of project we're creating in this tutorial video. I'm first prompted to select my file, which would be the STL file that I've just downloaded from Makerables. I then need to tell Makera Studio that this is going to be a 3-axis project, and then I'm greeted with a couple different settings and options to manipulate my model and prepare this project. First, we can choose our different setup options for this project, such as my Makera Z1 with a 3.175 millimeter spindle collet, as well as changing my material to my synthetic stone material and adjusting my stock to be 100 by 150 by 10 mil. Before we proceed, I do want to make a couple adjustments to my model just to better suit the size of my stock and be a little bit more efficient with my material usage. So I'm first going to actually scale my model down just a little bit, so that way it is less than 100 millimeters wide, specifically 90 millimeters, so that way it fits better in my stock. I can then rotate it, so that way I use less of my stock and reposition it using my move tools here in Makera Studio. It's important to leave a little bit of a margin for any type of clamps or screws that you might be using to securing your stock through work holding techniques, which we'll look at a little bit later on. Before I proceed, it's also good to orbit around to look at your project from multiple views. You can see that I also need to adjust my Z position a little bit just so I can machine this model a little bit more effectively. Now, if I was going to center this, I could use some of these shortcut features just to center my part directly on my stock. But as you can see, you can also create a custom position for your unique projects. Once you're happy with your model position, go ahead and click Next to proceed to the next step. This is prompting us to create our first toolpath, and in the guided mode, the type of toolpath you need to create is selected for you, such as this 3D relief roughing pass that was created based on the type of model that we've imported. In addition to recommending the type of toolpath you need, it also recommends the type of tool you should use. So this is recommending a tool that will be well suited for my stock, my model size, and the type of toolpath. And if you want, you can change to a different type of tool, or of course add a tool from your tool library. But I think this default tool is perfect for my project in particular. So I'm going to click Next. Now we've been prompted to create a 3D finishing pass for our relief project, which would be the next toolpath. And again, it's recommended a tool which I think is well suited. So we'll click Next. Lastly, we're prompted to create a contour toolpath to cut out our part. Now, if you don't want to cut your part out, you could delete this toolpath, but I do want to cut out around the profile of my relief, so I'm going to leave it. And again, I think that the default tool that was selected is perfect for my project. Once you're happy, you can click Generate Path to calculate all of your toolpaths. After about a minute, all 3 of our toolpaths have been generated, which we can see represented in these blue lines. I'm going to minimize my setup and then actually hide my toolpaths here by clicking on this eye at the top, so that way we can see them individually. So I can enable just the roughing pass, and you can see that here. I can then enable the finishing pass, which is much tighter to my model, as you can see on the screen. And the contour path that goes around the outside of my model and has tabs already drawn for us. Now, these were all generated using the default feeds and speeds for the selected material, and in general that's fine, but you do want to take a look as there might be some changes. For example, you'll notice that my contour pass cuts directly to the bottom of my stock, and I actually want to cut a little bit deeper. So let's open up our path settings, and I'm going to add an offset distance of 0.5 millimeter, just so that way I cut below my stock by about 0.5 mil, so that way I cut all the way through. Let's look at everything else. In general, I think these feeds and speeds, all that looks fine, but you could of course make any adjustments if needed if you want to go off the defaults. I do want to enable ramping, which will just have a more gradual entry into the stock, as my stock is a little bit more hard and aggressive on my bits, so that should reduce the wear of my bits. I can then click Calculate to recalculate the toolpath with those settings, and now if we look at it from the side, you'll see the ramping, path entry, and you'll see that we cut all the way through the bottom of the stock. I'm going to open up the path settings for my roughing pass and enable ramping for that as well, and calculate to make that change. But I don't feel like I need to add ramping on the finishing pass, as there's such a small amount of material left for that toolpath in particular. Now, before we export, it's always a good idea to preview your toolpath. So I'm going to select all 3 of my paths to preview and then start the preview. We'll be shown a rendering of our stock material. So here's my synthetic stone, and I can press the play button to actually run each toolpath and get a visual representation of what the machine will do and what my final result should look like. So you can inspect to make sure that there's no issues or any possible problems that you might run into, and that this looks roughly as you would hope your final model does, which in this case, I think it looks pretty great. We can exit our toolpath preview, and then we can save our model. I'm first going to save this as a Makera CAM file, so that way I can go back in and I can edit any of these settings, adjustments for my model, my toolpaths, etc. I'm also going to export this as a G-code project file, which are the actual toolpaths that would instruct the machine what to do. So we can click Export, and we can select all of our toolpaths and then press Export again to save this as a G-code file to our computer. Now you can also export and send this directly to your machine if you're connected to your machine, which I don't think I am. So let's head over to the Controller tab and then click on the Device menu to search for our machines. I've connected to my machine before, so I just have it in my little device list, but you can of course add a device if you've never connected to it. And now that we've connected, I can click Export from the Design tab, and then with all my toolpaths selected, click Send to Machine, which will automatically upload that G-code file directly to my Makera Z1 now that I've connected to it. With our file uploaded, we are ready to start, but let's first set up our machine before we proceed in our controller. As you can see, I'm going to align my model to anchor position 1 using the default work bed on my Makera Z1 and the corner L bracket. I've put a piece of wasteboard below my stock just because we're cutting all the way through, and I'm going to secure it in place using a combination of screws with the L bracket and some top clamps from multiple sides, just so that way my stock doesn't go anywhere during the cutting process. It's also always a good idea to give your stock a good shake and wiggle test just to make sure it doesn't move. With our stock secured, we can head back to the controller and click Start to configure this project. Now I'm going to enable auto vacuum as I've connected my Makera Cyclone light dust collector, so that's going to vacuum my chips away. I'm also going to enable auto blow, which will use the spindle fan as a chip evacuation and cooling method just to blow those chips off the part during the cutting process. If you'd like, you can also enable auto bed clean. That essentially allows the Z1 to make a finishing pass at the end of the project using just the spindle fan to blow all the chips off the part and clean your work area. And because I have my static deionizer attached to the Z1, I'll leave that on as well, as sometimes the synthetic material can stick to the side of my machine, making the chip evacuation and vacuuming a little bit more difficult. Now for my work origin, I do want to configure this to be at the 0, 0 position from anchor position 1, as that's how I've aligned my stock in my cam and where I've actually clamped the stock down to the bed of my machine. We're also going to enable scan margin, as this will just trace the perimeter of our project using the Auto Z probe, just to make sure that we have it in the right spot and that we don't have any possible collisions. And we're going to enable Auto Z probe to measure the height of our stock, but I am going to configure this to be a little bit off the path origin, such as 5 by 5 for X and Y, just because I'm machining so close to the edge of my part that I want to make sure that I probe somewhere within the center of my stock and within my design. If your stock is rough cut or warped, you might consider using auto leveling just to compensate for that in the project. And then once you're happy, you can click Run to start the manufacturing. You'll first be prompted to load your wired Z probe into the spindle by pulling down the quick release handle, loading the probe, and then pressing the button to continue. The Z1 will then trace the perimeter of the project through scan margin before touching your probing point to measure the height of your stock automatically. After that, you'll be prompted to load your first tool, which for me was tool 4. That's signified by the 4 flashing lights on my spindle, and then after loading that tool and pressing continue, the roughing tool pass will begin. Once roughing's complete, we'll be prompted to load tool 2, which will be our engraving bit, before then completing the finishing pass. After the finishing pass completes, we have one more tool change to go back to tool 4 to create our contour toolpaths, cutting out the perimeter of our project as well as keeping the tabs as uncut areas. If you enabled auto bed clean, the Z1 will first clean the bed before telling you that the project has completed, just pushing the chips towards the back of the machine where the dust collection is located. I vacuumed away excess dust before removing my part using my Cyclone light. And then for post-processing, I used my 4-in-1 screwdriver saw attachment to cut off my tabs of the synthetic stone, which is quite easy to do. I do find cutting the tabs from the back makes it a little bit easier, and using the sanding block included in the material kit works well to give yourself a really clean finish. Now, after finishing the machining process of this project, we can take all the photos and things that we've recorded, as well as our design files, and share them with the Makera community on Makerables. Let's see how. After going to the Makerables website, you can click the Upload button to start a new project. The first thing you're prompted for is that G-code file. So that's the toolpath NC file that you exported from your cam, and you can select that from your computer. Now, if you've generated this G-code file using Makera Studio, as I have, a lot of this information will actually be pre-populated because it's stored within the G-code file based on Makera Studio. So it already knows the machine, it'll know your bits, it'll know your different toolpaths and the bits that you use for those toolpaths, and it should also know your stock if the stock was already in the default library. So I can easily change any of these settings if needed, so I could always add a bit or something like that. And if I upload a G-code file not generated in Makera Studio, you can enter this information manually. So for example, I can choose a different material if needed, or find one in the default library if it's something that's carried in the Makera store. Now you'll see that all of your toolpaths are also already created with an option to add a description. This description is not required, but you may consider adding additional details for your toolpaths if that would help the reader that's trying to understand how you created your project. Below, we can go ahead and enter different information for work holding and machine settings. This is critical, as this is a really important component of a successful CNC project. For example, I can enter information about my work holding techniques, as well as insert any pictures to help describe how I clamped my stock and secured it to the bed of my CNC for successful manufacturing. So I've entered a little written description, as well as selected a photo that I took earlier to upload. Machine settings is an area where you can tell a little bit more information about the setup, such as what types of offsets you used, if you use scan margin, auto leveling, the 3D probe, or something like that. You might consider saying whether these are optional or required settings for success, and then you can also upload additional files. So you can upload your model file, such as the STL, STEP, DXF, or whatever model files you use to create this project, as well as your CAM file, which would provide the additional information in addition to the toolpaths, such as your machine settings and other parameters that you've created in either Makera Studio or any CAM, such as SolidWorks, Fusion, and so on. With all that information, you can head on over to the next step where we can provide a bit more information about the project. So is it original creation? What types of photos do you want to upload? And these photos are at the top of the project. So a cover image for previewing it on the site, as well as any other images to help support the project. You can also add images down here in the description, which is highly recommended, but I'll first grab a cover image for my project and then choose my project category, whether I'm willing to share it and what type of sharing I would like to provide, and then I'm going to enter my description. So the more information you provide, the more strong your post will be to help others in the Makera community to learn how you created your project. I like to add a combination of a written description as well as add some images that I took along the way. If you have any type of YouTube video that you created, you could attach that here as well to help the users understand how your project was actually created. You could then enter tags so the project's easier to find on Makerables for folks that are searching. And then you can add some additional information such as post-processing steps, which for me was cutting the project using my handsaw and sanding it using my sanding block. And again, I've added some written description and images, as well as additional documents like a bill of materials or assembly instructions, etc. Once you're happy, you can go ahead and click Publish to actually publish your project on the Makerables site, and this will first prompt you that your project is under review. If you head over to your project dashboard, you should be able to see all your projects, including draft projects that are under review, and you can of course click on that to get a full preview of what that project looks like, and all projects can be edited for any changes too. So that's it for this project. Thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed my nerdiness and the cool things that I created, as well as seeing how Makera Studio and Makerables Beta can be used for not only creating your projects, but sharing them with the Makera community. Definitely stay tuned for more on our social channels, follow and subscribe below, and thanks for watching.